Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Resident Rulebreakers. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
And on today's podcast, we're going to be discussing episode 103, Comrades in Arms, which was written by Andrew Chapman, who's one of the showrunners of The Resident. It was obviously his first episode because the first two episodes were co-written by Amy and Rashawn and Haley. So this is the first episode that wasn't written by one of our show's creators.
Yeah, it wasn't written by the creators.
Yeah. The first thing before we dive into our meat and potatoes, I guess you would say, is we do have one little news tidbit that came out this week, and they announced the writers of the season 4 premiere. Amy talked about it some in quite a few articles that released. And the one thing I want to say before I even say anything else is I'm surprised at the amount of reaction that goes, I didn't know this, or I don't want this, or whatever. Like, they didn't know that this was already going to be a thing, that coronavirus is going to be part of the season. Not only that, but it's going to be part of the season premiere. And the way Amy puts it's going to be in flashbacks. I was just really surprised at the reaction to the fact that it's going to be there at all.
You have the biggest medical storyline of the year, probably of the century, since, the last big pandemic was 100 years ago.
Yeah, it was the Spanish flu.
Yeah, it is happening right now. How do you not expect medical TV shows to ignore it? You know what I mean? Like, ignore it like it doesn't exist. It exists. Medical shows would be like, I don't know, stupid, I guess, or just blatantly ignoring what's going on right now if they don't talk about it. You know what I mean? The productions halted. The crews, the filming were delayed. Everything is going on concurrently as they're filming. So it's just wishful thinking to believe that they would ignore this big pandemic.
And I know some people say they tune in to escape their reality, but the fact is it's a medical drama, and this particular medical drama is known for ripping stuff out of the headlines. It's known for calling out the bad parts of the American healthcare system. It's known for its political stance on quite a bit of these things. So to say that the show's not political is an absolute lie. Matter of fact, they got the first few episodes of the show, because we're talking about them, got crap reviews because of this exact scenario.
The episode we're talking about right now, 103, it's talking about illegal immigration. This is the third episode of the whole show. So obviously, from the very beginning, it's political.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, please stop making this show political. I'm like, what show have you been watching? Third episode is about illegal immigration. Third episode of the whole series. It's about illegal immigration. I'm pretty sure it took it that is an indication of it's political from the beginning.
Yeah.
It didn't just become political because they're bringing up, coronavirus, which should not be political.
Or it shouldn't be political about Black Lives Matter or anything like that. That should not be politicized at all. And it has been.
But either way, the show is political. That's why a lot of times when people say, "Oh, no, please don't make this political," I'm like, "What have you been watching? What show exactly have you been watching?"
So my reaction to seeing that reaction was just, I don't know. It was just like, where have you been? Especially considering we did an interview with Amy back in June that she pretty much announced this exact scenario. And then she did more detail in this interview where she talked about the flashbacks, but she also announced who wrote this, and it was Dr. Daniela Lamas and Dr. Eric, who have both been on the front lines of the pandemic since the hiatus started. And so who better to write an episode that has these scenes in it than two doctors who have seen it?
If you watch the news, the name Dr. Daniela Lamas is familiar to you.
Yeah.
Not the news. But yeah, she works in Brigham Young.
Through Boston.
Either way, you guys, these are like people who have, are frontline workers. They're working it. They're, dealing with the deaths. They're dealing with sick people and stuff. And seriously, if I hear one more person say something about it's a hoax or a democratic hoax or whatever, so I'm like, it's a global pandemic.
So yeah, but I did want to mention that the season 4 premiere, which hopefully will premiere on time in January, was written by two doctors who have seen the pandemic from the front lines. They know what they're writing, and so I trust that it will probably be as accurate as they've seen it. But as Amy put it in the Facebook group, it would be irresponsible for them to not do this. And I loved her comment. I absolutely did. Thank you, Amy.
Which is also what we said.
So we're on the same page. Thank you, Amy. So you can listen to us or you can listen to her, whatever the case. We're on the same page here. So
Grey's Anatomy, Chicago Med.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a doctor show. I don't think there's going to be a medical drama out there that doesn't touch on pandemic.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure police shows are going to touch on Black Lives Matter, too. I mean, it would be stupid for them to ignore that, too. You know what I mean? These are two new stories happening concurrently that are...
But The Resident has a pivotal thing where they can do both.
Yeah. I still want them to touch on Black Lives Matter.
Because they're in Atlanta. And I said this last week. I said it last week, and I'll say it till I end of time.
We're blue in the face.
Yes. They're in Atlanta. This is a pivotal way for them to show what's happening in Atlanta. It's a center point to the Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of these things have happened in Atlanta and in Georgia, and I think that for it to be realistic, they need to show what some of the stuff that's happening on the news and in the background or something. And even more so if they were to show it to happen to one of our characters.
I would really want, not that I don't want their characters to be like in nature or anything like that. But
because it would hit home. I think it would hit home. I don't. That's where I was going with that. I don't want it to happen either. But I think it would hit home.
It is a great storyline to integrate into the Rapture or Kane. I personally prefer it to be the Rapture than the Kane, mostly because
he's beloved.
The Rapture is a loved character, and Kane is not. So we would have more of a emotional investment if, like, the police brutality or however they want to shape it is done on the Rapture than it would on Kane.
Yep, I absolutely agree. We're going to get into our meat and potatoes here. 103, which was the first appearance of Jude into the show. Jude obviously is only in one season, but like we said last week, we really want Jude to come back. And Warren Christie, I don't know if he's busy or not, but hey, Amy, call him.
But how did he leave the show? I know
he went to the military.
Okay. Yeah, he spent a lot of this episode talking about going back to the military.
Yeah.
So I had assumed that was going to be what his character did.
But he's a trauma surgeon, as we all are aware. And they used that. He didn't really use his specialty this time around, but he does in other episodes. Yeah. And the first thing we obviously see them riding a bike race, Doctors Against Cancer or whatever it is. And like Conrad and Jude are, they won the race essentially. But the first thing you see is them setting this drunk guy's leg who got broken and the spikes of a bicycle wheel.
Oh my god. That was
It was
fun.
gross for one.
Yeah. But the guy was just like so stupidly drunk. Here's I made a note of this. I think it was Claire who said that there are some patients that you just can't help. You just can't help. And so in the last scene in the bar, we see the drunk guy with his broken leg in a cast drinking, even though he promised Conrad, I will try to stop drinking. I get the health issue. I get that I have hepatitis or whatever. This is bad. I'm going to stop drinking. Please trust me or whatever. And it relates back to what Claire said, where there are some patients who just can't help no matter how hard you try. There's that drunk guy is, pure evidence of it, because they try to help him. They try to get him in a 12-step program. They try to give him pills.
But the fact is, his whole issue was the fact that he was drinking too much. He was shutting his liver down.
But he still went back to drinking, despite, having a broken leg. For how many? 2 dozens? How do you drink 2 dozen beers?
I don't know. Because I don't drink.
One person drink 2 dozen beers.
I do want to note, and I'm pretty sure we've noted this in other podcasts, where they screwed up the Navy Marine thing in the show. Because Conrad in this episode says he was a Marine. But he was a medic, which means, I don't really know the true things because I'm not military, guys. But the way it was explained, at least what I've read, was that the Marines use the Navy as their Navy corpsmen as their medics or whatever. So that was what Conrad was. Conrad was a Navy corpsman, which means he was in the Navy.
I read this there was a book called Flags of Our Fathers, which was talking about Mount Iwo Jima or whatever. And they said that one of the guys who is in that picture was a Navy medic. And they said that they used Navy medics in that to go with the Marine unit. So everybody else were Marines except that one guy and stuff. So that they have history of that.
So Conrad and Jude were in the Navy.
Yeah, but they were linked to a
medical unit in the Marines.
Even I think Jude did say he was in the Marines, didn't he?
But he was still a medic. He was still a surgeon.
Oh, he was a surgeon. But I thought he said that he was Marine.
They screwed up because Conrad said he was a Marine too. He's not. Yeah. So, but the fact is,
not military.
Yeah, but the fact is, they also said that Jude also said he would go back to Fort Benning. Fort Benning is an Army base, not a Navy base. Sorry, guys, that's wrong too.
Yes.
So I just wanted to point out there were some inconsistencies in this episode, but they did fix them in the later part of the show. And
one inconsistency that they brought up on this episode, and it's still a thorn on many of the fans' side, is Bell, his hand. Did he talk to the doctor about what medicine? The Zayed?
It's a benzodiazepine.
Yeah. To help with his hand or whatever. But, some people, we don't know if he took the meds, but because they listed, pretty bad side effects for the meds or whatever. And how, if he took the meds, how was the pills? How did it stop his hand shaking and stuff like that? All that.
I guess we'll figure it out eventually as we go through our rewatch.
Yeah.
But the thing I saw but noticed about Jude was that he was like, I don't like this. I don't like having this profits or patients system hanging over my head where I can't do certain things because the patient can't pay. And one of my favorite lines was, how many Marines did you have to ask for proof of insurance?
to take care of them.
Yeah, to take care of them. The other, like, and then there was this one part of the plot line that really kind of irked me, and it's not because I'm a comic shipper, it's because I'm a woman. And it was the fact that Conrad and Jude were fighting over Nick, like she's a piece of meat.
Were they really fighting? I don't even think.
Not really fighting, but they're like, oh, I'll win her or whatever. Like she's a prize to be won. And I'm sitting here going,
She is, because she's pretty and she's smart.
yeah, but women should never be treated like that. Nonetheless.
But
so yeah, that kind of irked me. I was like, eh. But the thing that really, like, and we've asked this question from the pilot for 1-2, now we're in 1-3, and we're like, how recent was this breakup? Because Jude obviously didn't know that they had broken up until Nick said something. And
thank you to Marqui for giving us an insight on that.
For that, but we still don't know how recent it was. Obviously, it was very recent. But yeah, there was some. But yeah, Jude asked Nick to a concert and some stuff like that. But yeah, the ending of the ending where they're talking about Nick and saying, may the best man win or whatever. About, I was a little turned off by it, I have to say. And then we get into, certain things like Lily. Lily's obviously in this episode as well. Lily's arc obviously expands across things. And majority of this is Nick trying to figure out what's happening to Lily. What is Hunter hiding? She's trying to go to Conrad and say, look, something's wrong. And at the end of the episode, she comes in the ER.
Yep.
On oxygen.
Yeah, it brings to light the, I don't know what episode it was, but Devon told Conrad, I believe Nick. You didn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, watching this episode, I was like, yeah, he really did not believe her. You know what I mean?
But the thing that really got me was, I know we're going to talk about Hunter here, was that, and we're going to bring this in with the Louisa plotline, was that Conrad went to Hunter because Louisa had cancer, right? And so Conrad went to Hunter to try to see if she could help Louisa out, pay for her to help her with chemo and all that, acting like, sympathetic and all this stuff. It's just not letting Hunter to be the way she was, This episode was kind of making her look like she was actually a good doctor, which we know she wasn't.
Is there really a board? Did she really go to the board and say, like, hey, or was it like her decision only or whatever? And I don't know. I would like to think that there was a board, but she didn't. I mean, we don't know the time frame between when Conrad approached her and when she told him no. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But still, nonetheless, what we know about Lane Hunter, I don't trust her.
I don't think that there was a board ever. That this is like her saying. But here's the thing: if there was a board, did they know all this time about her being, crappy? And if the study that she did or whatever, so the whole charity that Conrad wanted her to be Louisa to be part of. What happens to that now that with Lane being found out as this fraud or whatever? You get what I'm saying? There's so many questions.
Yeah, there's so many questions, but like, then now we're going to go into Louisa. Obviously, she's from El Salvador. She's illegal. She came to America at the age of 3. That's all noted. Her father is still alive, but he's in El Salvador, and she has no contact. Her mom died, so she's all alone. That's kind of the deal. She's trying to make sure that she can actually make it, but she's lied to get into school, and now she's been found out. And of course, we're talking about illegal immigration here, where Barb, we're going to talk about upcoding in a moment, Barb, the upcoding lady that Nick hates with a passion, calls
Barbie?
Yeah. Well, she calls ICE on Louisa But I love the way they handled it. They were like, Conrad and Devin are like, we've got to help Louisa. And I see both sides of this scenario where they're like, we've got to help her. She's going to die, blah, blah, blah. She's bleeding internally. She's got cancer. But the other side is the hospital can't afford to pay for her.
Yep.
And so there's two ways. I mean, they're like, we want to pay for people. Like there are charity, but they have charity funds. A lot of hospitals do.
Yep.
But like, that's not for, and I hate to say this, that's not for people who immigrated illegally to the United States.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, like, we want to say, you know, Bella's bad and Claire's bad for doing all this, but they're thinking they're thinking big picture. Mm-hmm. Conrad, Nick, you know, Devon, they're thinking, we just want to save Louisa. How can you turn her away or whatever? But now the hospital is footing $2 million bill. Well, where's the $2 million coming from? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we see the ramifications of this throughout the rest of the series, to be quite honest.
Also, the other scene that they like kind of, it looked to me like Shark Tank. The scene where they're in Claire's office and she has the two guys.
Oh yeah, she's talking to the CEOs of the other hospitals in Atlanta, yeah.
And then like try to bid, she's trying to like stop. It's sort of like Shark Tank where, you know, you say
they're trying to bid on a life, and I get, like, because Belle even says later in the episode, I hate it too. I hate putting a price on someone's life because you shouldn't have to put a price on being able to live, right?
Right.
But
sadly,
that's how the American healthcare system is.
Yeah.
It's so different. Healthcare is so different in this country compared to anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did love that line. And of course, Belle even reveals he didn't go into this for the money. He went into it because he liked it. He went into it because he liked the OR. He liked helping people. But the fact is, it corrupted him. Once the money started coming in, it corrupted him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But yeah, I love the way they handled with Louisa, with Ice, where they get her in surgery before Ice can get her.
Yeah, they get her.
And I don't really understand how she would have survived in Ice custody anyway, because she's unconscious. She's already internally bleeding at this point. Like, she would have died.
Yeah.
So in that way, yeah, it would have been hard. Yeah. But they actually got her into surgery with Mina, who was like, yeah, I'll just take this case because, you know,
it's glorious.
Yeah, for glory, right? She's like, I'm arrogant enough to know I can do it. That's exactly what she said. And I love showing that story.
When she was talking to Devon was asking her, oh, how's the, so would you do surgery or whatever? So she was like, 7 to 8 hours. It's glorious. You know?
I know, and her and Jude go in there, and by the time they're capable of getting to them, the surgery's already started.
Yeah. She's already got the scalpel and everything.
Yep.
So I like the fist bump with Devon and Conrad.
Devon and Conrad, yeah, that's a common gif throughout the show.
We use that a lot.
Yeah, it's in 1-3. And so yeah, that day, while Chastain was cost $2 million, they saved Louisa's life. I would have loved to have seen some more follow-up with Louisa.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see, you know, did she keep her job as a transfer worker? Did she find a way to get some type of green card? I don't know.
Is she still in the United States?
Yeah. El Salvador.
I think, Coral Pena also had another acting role.
But yeah, so it would have been cool to see follow-up, but because she seemed very beloved by the other characters, you know.
Yeah.
So there was
A lot of these characters, like, that are beloved by the main characters or whatever, they seem to be like one and done. You know what I mean? Like Dr. Bell's, what's his name? The guy who always cleans up the ORs.
Oh, him, the guy that died. Yeah. That kind of started changing Bell, because Bell cleaned up the OR after his surgery.
That broke my heart when he did that. Like, really, I was just like, oh God, you're gonna make me cry. You know?
But back to 1-3, we talked about this lady already, Barb.
Yes.
Oh.
This code.
I am with Nick. This lady is horrible.
But is it cute, right? Code up to excellence.
Yes. I'm like, that's not cute. Coding is not cute.
Yep.
You're talking about an ear infection costing someone $200, which, by the way, probably would. And then it goes to the brain, and boom. So they're hoping it goes to someone's brain. I'm like, I wouldn't wish that on someone for nothing.
Yeah.
But Barb's like, oh, but if it goes to the brain, I'm like, lady, you have a problem. But she's trying to push tests on people that, one, they can't have, and two, they don't need. Like the guy that had the penile implant.
I was gonna say that. That was hilarious. How he was like,
he needed hernia surgery, but they pushed him on a MRI, and yeah.
Well, first of all, okay, that's unrealistic.
I was gonna say,
if he had gone into the MRI room or whatever with a metallic peanut transplant, the magnets are always on, so you would have known that. Yeah, so the magnetism or whatever would have told him that there was something metallic or whatever. Not.
Because even if he went in the room, it would have caused damage.
Yeah, he would not have been there long enough to lay on the bed or something like that.
No.
But I still find it hilarious how the guy was like, "Get me out of here!"
But I was like, I love Nick's reaction. She's like, "Do you realize you need to do research before you do these things?" But I mean, she got suspended, obviously. But I'm like, suspension is not the best result. You need to fire this lady.
Well, obviously she did, because
she never returned. But no, the reason I think they brought up coding in the show was because it's a common issue.
I thought it was illegal. I've heard a lot of people say that's illegal.
Yeah, but so they try to make more money off of useless tests that aren't needed, and bill the insurance for them. And they're like, Medicare patients, they love Medicare because they can bill them for it and get the money. Yeah. That's pretty much the case.
Sadly, it's all about money.
Yeah. Profits over patients, which is the whole gist of the whole entire show, is that they're pulling back the curtain on that to say it's wrong, for one.
Yeah, but there's a gray area, I feel like. I mean, you can't take care of patients without money. You know what I mean? So as much as we want to be all angelic and happy and take care of everybody, no matter how the cost, no matter whether or not they can pay, if you do that, then you're not going to be able to take care of everybody. You get what I'm saying? It's like a give and take, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
But so there's obviously two sides to every story, you know, but the whole point of the show was to show the bad side of the healthcare system.
Yeah.
We mentioned Bell earlier with the benzodiazepines, but I love how he's trying to pitch it to his friend, and he's like, there's this guy I go golfing with, and he has a tremor, and he needs guys. I'm like, but what about surgery? And he's like, I don't know if that's such a good idea. And he never mentions that it's his problem. He didn't want to admit that he has a shaky hand because he doesn't want to stop.
He had this shaky hand when he was picking up the cup.
Yeah.
The guy saw. I don't know if the guy saw it.
saw him, but he was standing right there, okay, the food with.
But yeah, I mean, I loved his way he was trying to get around admitting that he was the one that had it. But I guess as we go along, we'll start to see what happened to Belle's shaky hand.
Yeah, I don't think we ever actually got a real.
We never really got an answer other than he started taking medicine for it, which I don't know if it could make it just disappear like that.
No.
So I wanted more answers, Amy.
I'm just glad Hodad is done, or
Yeah.
at least he's done anyway. Because Bell is a good guy, and I just wish that he stayed good. You know what I mean? So this is the episode where when we talked to Jessica, she talked about, we asked her like, how did they pitch the idea of Tasso and Feldmore? Whatever. She said that it wasn't pitched to her, but she thinks that this is where they had the writers or whatever saw the chemistry between them, so they were like, oh, they kind of look good together.
But no, like that scene where she's in, if you listen to Jessica's interview, she talks about singing in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's literally, it made me laugh. Like Tasso in the whole episode just made me laugh. He sings in one of the very first scenes.
He actually can sing Real Life.
Yeah. And then again, he's like, "Oh, I want an a cappella group," and Nick and Mina go, "No, dude, no, dude." They're like, "No, dude, no." But he's auditioning people for this a cappella group, and it's Jessica, and
Tasso goes, "You're a little flat, like you're a little flat."
But the chemistry was noticeable then, and I think that's where they got the idea.
I've said that was added her and Tasso.
Yeah.
Tasso's like attraction was
So,
added.
yeah, we just wanted to mention that scene. We loved it, and that's where it came from, was 1-3.
We need more Jess singing and Tasso singing.
Yeah, I'd love them to have some more karaoke stuff in season 4.
Hey, what happened to the acapella group? Let's have an acapella performance, like the hospitals have all these charity balls, right, to raise money for the hospitals or whatever. Have the nurses say acapella.
Bring that back, y'all.
Yeah, so like have the acapella group back or something. That'd be fun.
Before we go, we do want to note, obviously, our Patreon, which, if you want these interviews, like Matt, for instance, that's where you help us fund it. Help us fund the podcast. It's www.patreon.com/the-resident-podcast. Yes. Go there, and you can donate $1, guys. We understand times are hard. We're in the middle of a pandemic, okay? And you can cancel it anytime.
Yes.
But your money will go to the podcast, not to our pockets.
We're not making anybody on this at all.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. But I did want to bring that up. And then obviously next week's topic is 104, identity crisis.
And that's the one where they have the nurse shortage, which again links back to this episode where Claire tells Conrad, you're gonna see staff shortage for the next 12 months or whatever. It's because of
and they fire Nurse Hundley.
Yeah. One of my favorite Tasso scenes is like when he
hugs her
and starts hugging her, and like, you're bad. That's too funny.
But yeah, that's a good episode. And of course, there's some Mina stuff in this episode where Belle benches her for overreaching him in the OR.
Yeah.
So that's in this episode too. So we're going to be discussing that next week. The following week is Bruce's birthday. And for Bruce's birthday, what we want you to do, well, we'll have a podcast about his development as Belle and some of his past roles. Similar, very similar to what we did with Manish and Devon.
Yeah.
And so, but Bruce's birthday is August 12th and it releases August 10th.
Yeah.
But what we want you to do to help us celebrate that week is to send birthday wishes for Bruce.
Yes. Birthday pictures, birthday videos, birthday anything. It would be good to send videos.
You can either send it to us via either one of our Facebook messengers.
Yeah.
Or you can send it to our podcast email, which is theresidentRulebreakers@gmail.com.
Yes.
By August the 8th, which is
Yeah.
the Saturday before Bruce's birthday.
Yep.
And then the following week, and this is amazing, we actually told you about it last week, but the following week, because we just recorded our interview with Malcolm Jamal Warner, and his birthday is August 18th.
Yeah.
On August 17th, we are releasing an interview with Malcolm that we just recorded. And in it,
cloud nine. We're still picturing ourselves that we actually.
but yeah, in it, Malcolm talks about his origins in theater.
Yeah.
And then he talks about Cosby Show. He talks about Black Lives Matter. He talks about his poetry. And then, of course, we talked to him about AJ and, how he auditioned and what he wants to see with AJ and working with David Allen Greer. And he had connections to all the actors that plays either his bio or his adopted parents on the show. He already had connections. We got to talk about him about his weirdest scene, which I'm not going to reveal to anybody until...
We're just glad it got cut out.
Yeah, he's just glad it got cut out. So there's a lot of stuff in here with that you're going to really want to tune in to Malcolm's interview. Also, happy birthday, Malcolm. Happy 50. And happy 64, Bruce. And also, you can send birthday wishes to Malcolm, too. We'll post them and send them to him.
Yeah.
You ask us, will they ever see these? In this case, yes.
Yeah, we guarantee he'll see it. I still can't believe we got to interview him. Like, we got to talk to him. We got to talk to Malcolm Jamal Warner. And, like, I think I've mentioned that he was my dream interview from, like, the beginning.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, you did.
So this was, like, dream come true. So now we just got a Kayla Street.
Yeah. So there's that, and then obviously the rest of August we're going to be discussing 1-5
and 1-6
and 106. 1-5 is None the Wiser, which is the first appearance of Marshall.
Yeah. And
then 106 is the episode where you get to see Mina's ninja skills. There's some cool stuff coming, guys. If you want to rewatch the show, I know we're doing it slowly, but we want to make sure that it's spread out over the hiatus, so we're not watching it all at one time, So follow along with us as we continue our rewatches. Like I said, email residentrulebreakers@gmail.com. Our Twitter account @residentpodcast. Instagram, which is @theresidentpodcast. Camille's is @theresident on Fox Fans, and I'm @KBCountry37. Facebook, The Resident Rulebreakers Podcast. That's the name of the page. And then the Facebook group, The Resident on Fox Fans, is linked to that page. If you're not already in it, you can click the button that says join group, and you can join, answer the questions, and please do answer all the questions. The ways to listen: SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. So until next week when we talk about Identity Crisis 104, I'm Kayla.
I'm Camille.
Bye, guys.
Bye.